Hello, welcome back. My name is Aladino, and together with my wife Maya, we are on the final stages of our refit on our Cape George Cutter 36.
This episode is all about installing lights in our boat. During our sea trial this year, we did not have any lights installed. We were mostly just using battery-powered lanterns. I can't say we didn't have any lights. We had one light, and it was actually the violin light that Aladino made several years ago. We had that on our first boat. That violin has a whole story to it. It was my first full-size violin when I was a teenager. My brother sat on it. He totally crushed the top of it. And now it's a light on our boat. So we had that one installed, but no others. And I've been really looking forward to installing the lights, not just for practicality, but because lighting is a massive aesthetic and design element of any interior. And we were lucky enough several years ago at this point to actually have a meeting with somebody who specializes in interior yacht lighting. And he gave us a really nice presentation. We actually made an entire video about that topic. So if you're interested in it, definitely check it out. But just to sum it up, he gave us a really nice presentation where he showed us the difference that good lighting in a yacht can make. And it was so eye-opening to us to see sort of standard boat lighting, what you get on a lot of older boats, compared to a more modern lighting design. And if I'm to kind of summarize what I think he was telling us throughout that whole presentation, I think what it really was to illuminate the edges of things. So often you'll have one light in the center of something overhead just to basically just to get by, so you can kind of see what's around you, but that creates all these dark caves in the interior of the boat. And what really works better and it's more difficult to install, so there's a reason why not everyone, goes with this, but what looks a lot better is if you try to illuminate the edges of things, illuminate the sides of the boat to create width, illuminate the floor, illuminate the ceiling. And so we've got different lights available to do that. So we're going to start off with sort of the visible lights, which are the reading lights, which just get attached to the teak trim around the boat, and you'll see those in a moment. We also have LED strips. I think we probably won't get to installing those in this episode. But the third kind of light, and the one that we're going to focus on the most in this episode, are spotlights. And these go on the ceiling, they swivel, and you can really use them to train the eye towards specific things within your boat that you want to highlight. So for example, I think the heater is a really beautiful addition to the boat. So having a spotlight sort of trained in that general direction. Also a spotlight over our table, and that in turn kind of bounces back up and illuminates the ceiling and creates some depth and some character there. So this is all very good and very exciting.
But the challenging part on this boat, for me at least, is installation of spotlights. We don't have a fake ceiling, we don't have a liner, we don't have empty room. The beams that you see, they're there because they're structural, and this is the outside skin. So it gets more challenging to hide wires. In the meantime, we have received a box from Boat System, and they make incredible quality LED lights. So we chose these matte black housings. They have different housings, but they are of really good quality. They have a good color rendering index. They have a really nice Kelvin and pretty strong, but you can also see that they add very little. They require little depth, which is also a nice feature. And they do swivel side to side, but each one, of course, needs to be wired up. So we plan on installing 6 of these somewhere on the ceiling. And now what I want to avoid is trying to hide 6 cables. So the first line of thought was, okay, let's try to make 2 strings of 3 lights. We still have some leftover pieces of teak that Brock donated to us kindly. So here is one of these. Luckily they are wide enough to just about accept the frame of these lights. So the first and easiest idea was, well, let's put it kind of like this. Let's say, well, more or less exactly where I would have put it, somewhere here. But I wasn't quite pleased with that for a couple of reasons. Since the one plank accepts 3 lights and there needs to be a wire. It means that I have to drill into the beams. This plank is not thick enough to router into, and I don't want to drill through the beams. So that led me to putting the plank in this orientation. Over here. And that works much better. And then the idea really started taking shape. Now, here along the butterfly hatch, you can see that there is a framework parallel to the center line, but it is interrupted here, it's interrupted here, and also moving a little aft towards the galley. There is none here, but then it picks up again. In the galley, we do have these teak pieces again that are just simply hiding some screws. But I thought, well, wouldn't that be a good visual continuation? Having similar pieces of teak and installing them kind of as a visual continuation of this framework, and they would support this plank going across. So that's how I think I will proceed with this. Okay. Ta-da! A big box of lighting. Okay, I'm consulting the lighting plan we've made a little while back, but the reading lights are fairly simple. They will go on these teak cover boards, so they're classy and still brass look, but a little more modern with a button built in, and these ones also have a USB socket. Installing the reading lights was definitely the easy part. The detail-oriented devil in me, though, still was pained by having to drill through the carlin for the wire to go to it, so there's always ways to complicate things, but it was a relatively easy job. Now to install the spotlights, I have to install some pieces of teak onto the cabin top. First, I'm going to add 2 longitudinal pieces that run parallel to the center line to kind of mimic the rail that we already have for the companionway hatch, and that will create the support for another piece of teak going across it. And that second piece of teak will actually hold the spotlight fixtures.
I am just so extraordinarily impressed with how this is coming together. I did not know how we were going to install these spotlights. I was imagining we might have to like build little boxes around them or something, but I'm just constantly blown away with Aladino's creativity and ingenuity when it comes to boat building. He's looking at me right now with a very sweet expression, but it's really true. Like it's beautiful, and I think once I varnish these pieces, and I'm going to obviously use the same varnishing methods that I used for all of the overhead beams that we already have in the boat, I think it's going to blend so well, and it's going to look like these pieces were always there. And that's pretty impressive.
Super happy how that worked out. So you can see this one here is new, but it follows in continuation with the line of the ones behind me. Same with this one over here. It's new, but I think once they're varnished, it's hard to even tell because they follow this pattern, which was the idea all along. And then going forward, there is a subtle change. Yeah, you can see here there's a step in, because the butterfly hatch is at a different level. So there's these two zones, one line straight aft from here aft, and then one from here going forward with this new addition, and one on that side over there. So yeah, I think they blend in super well. So that is step number one of trying to get our spotlights up, because as you can see, the light situation right now is a little something more that resembles a Halloween trick. And a little detail here is that I have left an open corner for wiring. So one here and one on this side. There is a gap here. And the same also on this one. As you can see here, there is... Oh, look at the shadow. Should I point with the shadow? Right there. There is a gap.
But meanwhile, speaking of lighting, which I guess this is kind of related, I did have a really exciting package arrive for me. I just got something really exciting.
Looks like you did.
We just stopped by Carousdale Cameras, which is a local Vancouver camera store, and got a really, really wonderful deal on something that I really wanted after coming back from the sailing season this summer.
I think we all know what that is then.
It's a zoom lens. Oh, I'm so happy. So yeah, we saw so many whales this summer. Like every time we went out sailing, it seemed like we saw a whale, or we saw wildlife on shore, or just something that I wanted to be able to capture properly and couldn't because I didn't have a zoom lens. So doesn't this make me look like a serious photographer now? It's actually not even that big for a zoom lens. I'm really impressed with the size of it.
Zoom it out. Let us see the full Canon. Ooh, there you go.
Okay, let's put it on a camera. It's a pretty sweet lens. So I cannot wait to see some whales. Maybe we'll see like some wolves and some bears this summer as we cruise the British Columbia coastline. This coastline is so phenomenally rich with wildlife. It's unlike anywhere else I've ever been in that regard. And having a lens like this to capture those moments, I absolutely cannot wait. I'm going to become like a little mini self-produced National Geographic crew. Well, that's my goal anyway. I'm not saying I'm going to get results like them, but in my own head, that's who I'll be trying to mimic.
Now, making a few holes with a hole saw is pretty simple, but here I was especially concerned with them taking out a big chunk of wood from what is a fairly narrow piece of wood. So I was testing first to see, after making such a big cutout, how much strength does this piece of teak still retain. And then, of course, when it goes up on the ceiling, it's very curved, so can it resist being bent to that degree, or have I weakened it too much? So that's why this took a little longer here, because I was trying to determine those things. The cutout for the lights is 3 inches, the plank is 4 inches, which leaves us half inch on either side. And now this is definitely the weak link, because we have to bend this all, and I don't want to crack it here. So yeah, it seems not to be an issue at all. This is about the curvature that we will need ultimately. You can see the 4 holes here. That's where it will be screwed onto the supports that I glued into the boat. 2 screws here, which yeah, that got me a little worried, but I think we're good. Nice. I think that looks pretty good. Just enough, but they have such a slim profile that even being that close to the edge, it actually doesn't look weird at all. I really like it. Really pleased by their slim profile on either side, since we have put on blocks that are this height. That's not gonna create a problem at all, but we have really good airflow around them, and yeah, really like it. Ta-da! I am so pleased with this.
Yeah, I've already said it, but I'll say it again. I'm so impressed with this installation. It's gorgeous. Aladino did an amazing job. I can't wait to varnish these pieces and have them all blend in. That's not going to be within the scope of this episode, but we'll get to that pretty soon here. And then give them their final installation, and then ultimately wire them all up. You know, there's stages to all of this, but we've got to get our batteries first. And the electrical system, I have a feeling, is going to be a few more episodes down the road, because Aladino is spending a lot of time designing that and talking to some experts and people helping with the project to get that all sorted out. But yeah, huge thank you for being here, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a very satisfying one for me, to be sure. It's always fun to see new, beautiful components come into the boat. A really big thank you to the folks whose names are now appearing on screen for always going above and beyond to make sure that Magic Carpet keeps being produced. A really big thank you to all of our patrons for making this happen. It really wouldn't be able to go ahead without you guys, and we're really, really grateful for that. The patron support is what allows us to keep this all sponsor-free. So while we do sometimes work with companies that donate products to the project, we never have to work with companies that require us to, like pause the video halfway through and tell you guys about whatever it is that they're doing. And I really love that. I love having the creative control over the videos. I love being able to just share with you what it is that we're doing, and that's directly because of Patreon support. I also want to make a quick comment on ads, because occasionally we get confused comments from people saying, well, I do see ads on your channel from YouTube, and those are the ones that pop up in the middle from whatever random company that YouTube places on there. So you know, you can get rid of those. We provide, you know, ad-free, like separate from YouTube. We upload the videos to Patreon before they go live on YouTube, and so you can watch them ad-free there. Or you can pay for YouTube Premium, and then YouTube removes those ads for you as well. So there's different options. There's, of course, also an ad blocker, which honestly I use on my computer. So that's the free way to get around it as well if you don't want to see those YouTube ads. But yeah, we are not in control of which ads YouTube places on our videos. They do all of that. It's all like specific to your algorithm, the viewer, actually. So if the great Google thinks that you might like a certain something, they'll show it to you in the middle of our video, and it's different for every person. So that's how that goes. Anyway, huge thanks for being here once again, and we will chat to you in the comments. And as always, see you next Friday as we keep marching along. This is proving to actually be a pretty exciting winter because it's really good projects happening now, and you know, our spirits rejuvenated after such a beautiful sea trial, and looking forward to the next season of more wonderful sailing. Thanks for being here, everyone. Bye for now.